So I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going on holiday this year because I've just spent all my money on this, the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And maybe you're balling and you can buy 10 of these tomorrow. Either way, you're going to want to get the most from your brand new iPhone 14, and that's exactly why I'm making this video for you. And although I'm not going on holiday this year, there is one place I will be visiting, and that is the Dynamic Island. And I actually like that name. Let me know in the comments, do you like the name or do you hate it? But anyway, this takes me nicely onto tip number 1, how to use the Dynamic Island. So there is a long list of apps and notifications that will pop up in the Dynamic Island, but the real basic ones, the ones you might want to use on day one, is the timer, for example. So if we set a timer, 3 minutes, we close it down in the background, and now it's there at the top. Now, let's say we want to play some music while the timer is going. What happens is the timer is then pushed over to the side, and that little icon there is actually the album art from this song that I'm playing. It's a gun with a banana peel. And you can see when I go back to this app, the timer goes back into place on the Dynamic Island. Now, let's say it's like this and I want to skip track real quick. I can hold my finger down on the Dynamic Island and I get this quick shortcut to skip tracks forward or back or AirPlay or whatever. Now let's close that down just by tapping anywhere. If I wanted to open the music app entirely, I could just tap it and it opens up Tidal, which is running in the background. And then we could just close it down and then the timer will take the spot there on the Dynamic Island again. Now, something that I've discovered on day one is Google Maps does not support the Dynamic Island. All you will get is the notification showing that your location is being used up here. However, Apple Maps works really, really well. So much so that now Apple Maps is on my home screen instead of Google Maps. And this wasn't an easy decision to make, but allow me to explain and justify why I've made this change here on the home screen. It's because when I'm driving, I like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, usually in the background. So actually quite often the map app isn't on display all of the time. And on Google Maps, when you're coming up to a turn, it actually speaks really loudly and is quite abrupt and is quite startling and abrasive at times. The great thing about this and the way this works is when you get a notification from the Apple Maps app, you actually see the animation before it starts to speak, and that kind of gives you a heads up that it's about to say something, and that way you don't jump out your skin every time you're coming up to a turn. I just find it a more relaxing driving experience with this feature, so definitely use that because it is awesome. And there is a bunch of other Dynamic Island stuff that involves the AirPods and the Apple Watch, and I will be getting those, and I will be doing similar tips and tricks videos for those as well. So make sure you come back to the channel for those. Anyway, that was tip 1. Keep an eye out, do some sightseeing on the Dynamic Island because there's a lot to learn and a lot to uncover. Okay, tip number 2. This is another brand new feature on iOS 16 devices, not just the iPhone 14. Any device that has iOS 16 will be able to do this. And it's something you should definitely do on day 1. That's why it's tip number 2. So go to settings, go to wallpapers, and then here you can see we've got the lock screen wallpaper and we've got the home screen wallpaper. Let's start with the lock screen wallpaper because this is the new feature right here. So we can choose our own custom wallpaper, or we can use one of the new ones featured here by Apple. And one of the ones that I really like is the moon one. Check this out. So you've got a few different ones and they kind of move around. And we've seen this kind of thing before on Xiaomi devices, but I really like how Apple have done it because it kind of overlaps the widgets behind them in a way. So let's just choose this one for now. So what we have now is actually spaces for widgets. So at the top we've got the date and the phase that the moon is in, we've got the time, and then we've got a space for widgets. This is the key space, this is the golden space, but each of these elements now we can customize. This is far more customization than Apple have ever given us when it comes to the lock screen. So if we tap on that top section there, we can change this to whatever we want. If we just want a standard date, for example, we could do that. We can go to the lettering here and change the font entirely, and I quite like this font for this particular background, and then we can change the color of it as well. And then we have a 4-block space for widgets, so it's entirely up to you how you use this space. So you could put, for example, use 2 spaces for the phone battery like that, and if you have AirPods or Apple Watch, you can actually put the battery life of those up there as well. But there's a bunch of things to choose from. We can set the timers up there, put that there, and then one more, let's put the fitness up there. So use this space however you feel suits your everyday use case. If you're into fitness, then you can put all your fitness stats there. If you're into stocks and shares or whatever you're into, make sure you customize this the correct way. Also, you can use Apple's presets. I'll show you very quickly how you can use your own wallpaper. So go back to the wallpaper menu, go to add new wallpaper. Here at the top where it says photos, you can actually add your own background. This is one of my backgrounds from one of my other videos. And check this out, if you swipe across at the bottom, you can actually add different finishes here. And actually something like this, where it's black and white, will use far less power than something that has loads of colors on it, because those black areas are off. Okay, now you know how to set up the brand new always on display. Here's a new feature involving the always on display. So if you double tap the screen to unlock it, make sure your face is in plain view of the screen. What we can now do is hold our finger down on the always on display, and we can add more always on displays which are linked to different focus modes. For example, this one over here is linked to my fire mode. And what I can then do is set up different widgets for fire mode. And then over here, if I hit plus, I can set up a new ambient display for, let's say, sleep mode. For example, this one, maybe I want to add the alarm clock. Maybe I want to add the battery life for my phone. We can go add here, and we can actually make the home screen match as well. So whenever we switch to that mode, the home screen will also switch the wallpaper as well. And at the bottom, we can choose what focus mode we want that to be. So let's say this is personal, and that's it. And now when we're on this screen, the always on display, we can quickly switch between our different focus modes, which are going to change the wallpapers on the home screen and on the lock screen, and also change the widgets that we have available to us in those different modes. So it's just a really good way to use focus modes, but also to customize your iPhone more than we've ever been able to do before. Okay, tip number 4 is a brand new customization feature that we didn't have before on iOS, and it's really great if you've got photos or pictures that you want in the background of your phone, but you don't want them to be too distracting. And also it allows you to kind of create your own wallpaper style for your own phone, making the phone more your own. So check this out, this is a cool new feature. If you go to settings and you go to wallpaper, and now instead of customizing the lock screen, which we've already done, we want to go to customize home screen. So this is the brand new section here at the bottom. We've got the original wallpaper. If we want, we can choose a specific color, and we can tap that color and actually get really granular with the type of color we want as the wallpaper at the back. Or we could add a gradient, which is really nice. Again, tap that twice and we can set the gradient to whatever we want. Essentially what we're doing is creating our own wallpaper here. You've got spectrum and you've also got grid to choose the colors from. Now this is the cool new feature that I really like. So this wallpaper here is something that I've used in the past, but one of the problems I had with this is it's a bit busy, it's a bit noisy, but I like the style of it. So what we can now do is we can still add the filters like we did with the always on display. If I tap on the image, I can actually add these filters on top, which is pretty cool. That blue one actually looks pretty nice. But I'm going to leave it as plain because this is what I want to show you. This next new feature allows us to blur the background out, so it's not so distracting, but we still have that kind of feel from the wallpaper that's actually there behind it. So if you see like a painting or a picture with a color scheme that you really like the look of, but you don't necessarily want all of the detail, you just want that color theme, you can put that on your phone, turn on the blur feature, and then you'll have a nice effect like this. Okay, tip number 5, another brand new iOS 16 feature, one that you should be aware of in case you want to use it. So it's the way in which you receive notifications. So we can have count, we can have stack, and we can have list. And stack is actually the new preferred method in my opinion. It just kind of bundles everything together if it's all coming from one source, as opposed to a long list of 100 Twitter tweets. That could drive you nuts. This is far better. And something else that I noticed here in iOS 16, which I didn't notice before, is for example, apps like this, Amazon, you can actually allow time sensitive notifications to come through or turn them off. That's not the same on every single app, but on apps like this where shipping is involved, where time sensitive notifications could be key, we'll have this feature, and it's entirely up to you how you use that. Okay, tip number 7, and it's another brand new feature, and that's what you guys are here for, the new stuff. So that's what I'm going to show you. Go to settings, here we want to go to sounds and haptics, and then here we want to go to keyboard feedback. Now we can enable haptic feedback on the keyboards. So when you're typing, you will feel like you're typing on an actual keyboard which is great because sometimes you might miss a key and then you type a message and then you realize actually you've typed the wrong message. And that takes me nicely on to another new feature. Next time you write the wrong message on your iMessage app, you can actually undo it. But anyway, that's not what this tip is. This tip is the haptic feedback on the keyboard. Okay, tip number 8 is another brand new feature. Go to settings. Here, go to battery. Now we can enable battery percentage, which means up here in the top right corner, we can see exactly down to this single digit how much percentage of battery we have left in the device. And if you're wondering why I've switched on airplane mode, it's just to remind me how I'm not going on holiday this year and how I should appreciate this new dynamic island that I now have. Check out this timer. So worth it. Who wants to go to the Caribbean anyway? Okay, tip number 9, this is kind of a usability hack that I think a lot of people don't really know about and don't really utilize enough. So check this out. Go to settings. Here we want to go to control center. Now control center is what you get here when you swipe down from the top. What we can do is organize this in the correct way just by dragging things up and down. It's very basic stuff, but it's good to do on day one just so that you know where everything is and it's exactly how you want it to be. But what I want to show you guys is a tool that's very handy sometimes when you're navigating the web. And it's this one, text size. So if you add that up here to your control panel, when you swipe down, whenever you're browsing the web and you don't want to pinch in and do all of that kind of stuff to zoom in and read text, actually what you can do is hold your finger down on text size and quickly increase or decrease the size of the text without any pinching or anything like that. All you would do is swipe down from the top right corner, hold your finger down on the text size and then zoom in 135%. Now everything on that page will be increased in size. I do recommend adding this to your control panel. Staying in the same settings window, within settings, control panel, here there is another brand new feature that I want to show you guys. And it's this one, quick note. So let's add that to the control panel. Let's drag it up near the top. Just like before, swipe down from the top right corner. And now we have the quick note shortcut. The Notes app is an incredibly powerful app from Apple. And I will show you guys how to use this more in depth in the near future. But this is just a really great tool for capturing notes, which is then shared across your other Apple devices, whether that's the iPad or your iMacs and all that good stuff. Although it seems very basic right now, I do recommend you add this to your control panel because trust me, sooner or later, you're gonna need to write something down very quickly and you don't wanna be diving through your app library trying to find your notepad when literally you can just swipe down from the top right corner, tap on your quick notes here and you're already ready to go. Okay, tip number 11, this is a new feature. Nothing that exciting, but I'm just going to run through some basic stuff that you probably already knew. So swipe down from the top right corner gets you to your control center. Swipe down from the top brings up your notifications. The great thing about notifications here, it now has your widgets that you have on your lock screen available at the top. So it's just a really great way of using those quickly without having to search for those within the settings or within apps and stuff like that. But this is the new feature right down here. See where it says search? That is the spotlight feature, which allows you to search the entire device right here from any of your home screens. So I really like that. And just like before, if you're thinking, well, I like the dots down there that allowed me to switch back and forwards. If you swipe across just like you used to, you can still switch quickly back and forwards between your home screens. So don't worry about that. This is just a very, very good way of searching your device for anything at all. And it could even be a name of a person and it will actually even uncover photos of that person if it knows who that person is. So as you can see, I typed in my name and it's uncovered a ton of photos with me in it because it knows who I am, as well as emails and messages with my name included. So the spotlight is a very powerful tool and now it's right here in this little kind of shortcut right on the home screen. If you missed the dots, you could turn it off, but honestly, why would you want to? Thank you for making it this far into the video. And as a reward for staying this far, I'm going to share with you guys a secret link to my wallpaper stash, which can only be found if you have the direct link. So check this out. It is whatgear.net/wallpapers. Here you'll find most of the wallpapers that I use in my videos. I constantly add to this. One thing you'll notice about my website though, and I apologize for this, is there are quite a lot of Google ads on it, and that's because I've blown all my money on this phone. So you can see right here, there's an ad right here. Did you know there is actually a way to block ads from popping up on websites. And I'm going to show you this in action right now. So we go to settings, here we go to Safari, and then here we go to extensions. Now we go to more extensions. This opens the Google App Store with verified apps for Safari. Now what we're looking for here is Kablock. The reason I suggest this one is because it's free. There are other ones, premium ones, that cost money, but if like me you've got no money left, then you're going to want to use Kablock. So then once you've downloaded it, all you need to do is go to settings, Safari, back into extensions, and now enable Kablock. And now when we load up whatgear.net, you will see the ads are no longer there, which means I no longer make any money off of you for clicking on my website, which is not good for me, but it's good for you guys, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. I hope you can appreciate my sacrifice. Okay, tip number 13, and this is kind of a double-barreled tip. The reason being is because I'm horribly efficient like James Bond, and when you go into your photos gallery and you go to albums, if you scroll to the bottom here, there will be a section that says duplicate photos, and if you go to that you can delete all of your duplicates, but of course I've done that in advance. Okay, I'm only joking. I deleted them by accident and now I can't show you. But there is another trick that I want to show you here in the Photos app. And it's a very powerful one. So for me, having to cut things out of photos and place them onto other things to create thumbnails is something I do very often. But it also can be great fun to do if you're making memes and this kind of stuff. And now Apple have made this easier than ever. So check this out. This is Chun-Li from Street Fighter. If I hold my finger down on the figure, I can actually move this around now and actually paste it into other apps. The app that works the best with this is by far the Message app. So let's go to the home screen, keep my finger pinned there with the Chun-Li, and let's go to here. And you can see I've done this earlier with another cutout. But what this does is it actually sends a PNG file with a clear background to it. Now check this out. Another way we can use this is, let's say I cut this character out here like this. If I tap it, I can go to share. Now if I tap share, I can paste this into other apps. Or if I want, I can hit share and save it into my photo gallery. So there's a few ways you can use this, but that tool alone is so useful. You can just see how she's glowing there. That's just representing the fact that she is cut out of the image right now. And if you're wondering who Chun-Li is, she's a Street Fighter character. And if you haven't seen the Street Fighter 2 manga, anime, then you have to go and watch that, because that's a classic one right there. And I don't think it gets the praise that it's due. Anyway, test out that feature. It's an awesome one. Okay, this is just a bonus one and it's not a new one, so we'll run through it real quick, but it might be new to you if you've just upgraded. So we go to settings, scroll all the way down to where you see camera. In camera, scroll down to where it says photographic styles, and here you can change the style of photos that the iPhone takes. And funny enough, I've actually been testing this iPhone against the iPhone 13 Pro Max today, and the photographic styles between the two are different. So it's quite interesting to see, and I will be making a video about that, so make sure you subscribe, notifications on to see the difference. But check this out, the standard tone is 00. If you want more contrast, that's more sort of like the Pixel, you can switch to rich contrast style. If you like the kind of vibrant colors that you see on a Samsung Galaxy device, this is the one you want to use. And then we have a more warm style, which is what I feel the previous iPhone was like. Now it feels more neutral than ever. And then we got an extra cool style. Again, that's kind of leaning more towards the Samsung style of photos. But I'm going to leave it on natural from day one, but it's good to know about this and how to use this. And really just test it out and see which style suits you the best, and then leave it on that style. Okay, here's another bonus one. If you go back into settings, go back into camera, and what I really want to show you guys here is the full potential that you can unlock if you want to on the iPhone. And that's with regards to the formats that it shoots video in, and also the format that it shoots photos in. So within the settings here, you see formats at the top. We can go to high efficiency, which is recommended. Now, if you want to shoot RAW, which is this one here, Apple Pro RAW, what you're going to get is the maximum image quality, but the raw image will be unprocessed. So it actually might look worse than your usual JPEG photos or HEIF photos. But when you have raw data, you can use apps like Adobe Lightroom to bring out far more details than you could ever see in a JPEG or a HEIF. So this is a good thing to know about if you're going to do a lot of post-process stuff in Photoshop or Lightroom or some other kind of expert editing suite. So just keep that in mind. And as you can see right now, I've got it on. And when I go to photos, at the top here, I've actually got the RAW symbol, but it's crossed out. So I can actually toggle that on and off. So I do recommend you switch on Pro RAW, but just keep an eye on when you're using it. And if you're never actually ever gonna use any editing software or anything like that, you might as well leave it off. And the next thing I want to show you is this, the Video Capture ProRes. Again, so if you're going to be editing in a desktop software, for example, Final Cut or Adobe Premiere, then ProRes can be very, very good. Again, like the photos, it's going to provide far more data, so you can pull the highlights higher, you can drop the shadows darker and have more contrast in the image if you shoot in ProRes. And if this is all going over your head and this means nothing to you, then there's no point to switching these on. If you're the creative type and you do like to import stuff into a computer, then I recommend you switch them on, because even when you go back to the camera app, we go to video, we do have the option here to toggle on ProRes and toggle off ProRes whenever we need it or don't need it. So of course, I have bonus content for you guys. I always save bonus content for the people that stay to the end of the video. And this is probably one of the most awesome features within the photo app. Well, for me anyway. So as you probably already know, when you take a photo, you can go to edit and you can adjust the photo. For example, the exposure, we can make it lighter or darker. Let's make it a little bit lighter, and we can adjust the brilliance. That's kind of your saturation or vibrance as it's known in some other apps. Then we've got our highlights. We can bring those down, bring some of the shadow detail back. We've also got shadows. We can crush or lift. And then we've got a bunch of other stuff we can play around with. This stuff, play around with it however you like, fine tune your photos. But the cool thing we can do now is actually copy and paste these settings to all of the other photos that we took in exactly the same location. And this could be a massive time saver. So I can copy this edit here, hit done. And now I can go to my other photos, same spot, same lighting, different angle, and just go up here and paste the edits. Now it's added exactly the same effects that I added to the other photo onto this photo. And if you're wondering what those little brown boxes over there are, those are giveaway prizes for channel members. So if you guys want to sign up to channel membership, there will be more exclusive giveaways in the near future. Anyway, use the copy and paste edit thing. It is very useful. Okay, so this is another bonus tip for you guys who have the bigger versions of the iPhones. So the screen is very big, and to reach to the top with one hand is very difficult. There is a feature called reachability, which isn't enabled as standard, and it's very quick to do, and it's a good feature to enable with a big screen like this. Go to settings. Here you want to go to accessibility, and then here we want to go to touch, and then here where it says reachability, we want to enable that. And if you read what it says swipe down on the bottom edge of the screen to bring the top into reach. So if we swipe down here, you see the whole screen shuffles down. So if you're holding the phone with one hand, you can now reach the top without having to actually reach the top. And who knows, if you guys subscribe, maybe one day I'll reach the top, or at least get close, or maybe I'll die trying. But at least I tried, right? Okay, here's another bonus tip for you parents out there. It's a very quick one, and it's a way to stop your kids spending money on your phone without you knowing about it. So all you need to do is go to settings, go to screen time, and then here where it says content and privacy restrictions, click on that. And then here where it says iTunes and App Store purchases, if you go to this and go to always require, now no one can buy any stuff without you knowing about it, even if the phone is unlocked. And when you scroll down through this list, you can also add locks to various different things on the device. And if you want to take security up another notch for when other people are using your device, you could always set up screen time for family. That way you can put it into a mode which only gives limited access to what the device is actually capable of. And I heard that actually the iPhone is 100,000 times more powerful than the computers that landed man on the moon. Which raises the question, why have we not been back there? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it is an interesting question. So here is a final bonus tip for you guys for watching all the way to the end. Check this out. When you power down the device, so hold your finger down on the power and down key, where it says iPhone findable after power off, you can actually turn this off if you want to. And the only time you'd really want to do this is if you want to be completely off the grid. You don't want anybody to know where you are in the world. Let's say you're on a secret mission or something like that. You can actually turn that off. But the reason this is on by default is if someone steals your phone and then immediately powers it down, you can still track these people. Like Liam Neeson in Taken, hunt them down with your particular set of skills, which is Apple Find My. But I just wanted to show this to you guys because it's kind of hidden within the menu. And maybe some of you are more private people than others, so maybe you might want to turn it off. But my advice to you is don't. And check this out, you can temporarily turn it off if you want to go off grid. And here's another tip for you guys. It's probably a good idea once in a while to actually turn the phone off. And on that note,